Welcome to my channel. My name is Valerio and today we're gonna review the Zearth from the anime Bokurano. This is a model kit produced by Bandai that belongs to the line SMP, or as most of the people know them, Super Mini Plow or Shokugan modeling project. Now, I bought this model kit on Hobby Link Japan for not much. I think it was like 40 bucks, something like that. Shipment is gonna depend on which part of the world you live in, but well, being fairly cheap, you shouldn't pay too much taxes over it, and transportation is totally gonna depend. Now, while I do like a lot mecha design, I'm not a giant fan of anime. However, Bokurano has been one that in the past 20 years that I did kind of like, and I was really looking forward for this model because the only other thing existing of this robot was out for was like a statue, and I wasn't particularly interested to it because it wasn't even a great design to begin with. So we're gonna start quickly to look into runners. Then at the end where I will give you my conclusion about it. There are a few stickers. The stickers are cool because they have different option of lights turned on over it so that you can simulate one of the different child into the cockpit, because number of lights equal, well, I will not spoiler anything. Anyway, the runner are pretty much all of the are in two main color, which is this dark blue and a navy blue, and this brown, which is, let's call it, the meaty part of the robot. If you look the anime over it, however, the robot is not blue. It is between a dark black and a blue. It changes, not scene by scene, but episode by episode. It's either black, like a black monolith, or blue. There are also a tiny bit of accessories. There is the tiny floating dolls. Anyway, build overall, it was like 40 minutes. Super quick, and we're gonna quickly look into it. So the robot is, give it or take, in a bit more than 10 inches, not quite 11, something between 10 and a half, let's put it like this. It cannot stand on his own without the display stand. The build was extremely easy. However, when you build, you find out very quickly that this is not a kit that you want to be posing, because some of the attachment of the joints are friction based, and because of this really weird design, bugs like, it is not like, you will find out that if you try to pose, you're in for a lot of pain, like pieces that fall off and whatnot. There are also seam lines all over the model kit, and I decided in this case, since there wasn't much to be seen in order for it, just to go through to paint it very quickly to make it look a tiny bit more like in the anime. And don't worry, but we're still gonna look into articulation right now, which, as I was saying, however you move it, something is gonna fall off. So the head moves tiny bit, and to be honest, this is not one of the robot that moves like a crazy or whatnot. Even during the anime, you can see that they try to give the impression of a really heavy to move robots. It can replicate some of the gimmick inside that you see inside the anime. It can drop a part of itself, and if you don't know what I refer to, well, fundamentally some parts of his arm can be detached. It can also technically move into a more like bugs like position. However, personally, I don't think it looks good, and really you see piece that just dropped off. You might want to glue some part where it's possible. Some other parts you cannot glue them, otherwise you lose completely mobility. There is a tiny bit of waist movement. You see it has these weird joints over the arm, like there are two shoulder joints, one on the arm, a bit on the legs. But guys, this has been, it's a pain. Let's pretend that is a statue because really everything falls off. I recommend you put it into the position that you want and you glue into it. Anyway, so few seam lines. Want to glue some parts out of it. Articulation is a no for him, but it's a super weird design. So I decided to paint and to fix some of the seam lines. I will use Prince Blue Black by Gaia, great color, and the Red All that in the end I decided not to use and use a mahogany, acrylic mahogany. And overall the paint has been pretty fast. I will show you well, now for comparison, you will see, but then I will comment on the paint. Lego Dude is like 1/10 of it exactly. SMP Daltanius, it is smaller, different bulk though, obviously. The Zearth is just very, very high. Gaikin Knight from Gaikin the Great, still another Moderoid on the smaller side. Moderoid. This is Might again from the SMP line, smaller. This is other than the Giant Super Robot Wars. This is an HG Dragonair. Anyway, other than Super Robot Wars, this is very, very big. Okay, now we're gonna go for conclusion. Okay, so I did close all the sim lines. I checked the animation to see if it had it or not. It does not. It's true that you can drop part of the arms, but you don't see a detachment out of it. So I did close over it. You see a bit of wetter paint in one point. It's not wetter paint, it's just wet. Sorry. It's a bit warm here for a change, and the paint is pretty much okay. It's a pretty fast to do, but it has sim lines in every single position out of it. So I fixed the one that I couldn't stand to look, and I kind of like didn't care about some other. Obviously it looks way more coherent once you don't see two parts attaching. Overall, super paint job, eh? Longest part with all the super mini ply is always fixing sim lines, especially because working with ABS, which is this kind of plastic, is a pain, because it tends to crack while you work over it. I forgot to show the accessories. There is almost nothing. There is the stuff that the kids put their hands on when they're like when they're entering into a contract with the robot. And then there is the tiny floating dolls around. It's not a doll, like floating teddy bears. I mean, I can tell you who he is, but maybe this will be too much of a spoiler. Now for pros, this is very, very tall. The build is super easy. It does give articulation possibility, even though they're not implemented well at all, which is the main cons out of it. The display stand is actually cool. I didn't show, I cannot find the footage for it, but fundamentally represent the face of the Zearth. And well, the most important thing is that this is the only thing from Bokurano that you can actually find with a certain degree of making it's easy to be found around. The statue that I mentioned before that does exist, it's pretty terrible, and this at least allows some degree of customization with the paints and whatnot. Now, do I recommend it? Well, if you're a fan of Bokurano, there is only this one, so sure. If you are a fan of the insect-like designs, yes, absolutely. If you're a dude that like to play with model kits as action figures, do that, obviously. No, because this is gonna open a world of frustration over it, because pieces fall down every time. And if you're just an SMP collector, sure, this is great, and I do recommend it. From my perspective, I was really happy with it, but that's all. Okay, so guys, have an amazing day and a nice weekend. Bye.